In this video, we're going to learn the signs to All I Have is Christ. I'm going to show you the exact signs, the words, and then we're also going to, I'll show you the interpretation because I'm not going to be signing the exact words necessarily. All right, so I once was lost in darkest night. So we have I once, this is once, you just do it once, was lost. This is dark. We've learned that before. Dark, and doesn't really matter if your hands are open or closed. Dark. And then we have night. Now we haven't actually learned the signs for day and, well, we've learned day, but like this is morning, the sun's coming up, and then you have noon as opposed to tree. So that's noon, and then you have afternoon, and then night is like this. Midnight would be way down there, all the way at the bottom, opposite of noon. So that's morning, noon, afternoon, night, midnight. Okay, so those are related signs. So we're talking about darkest night. Yet thought I knew the way. So this is yet with Y's, yet, or still, still I, thought I knew the way. Yet, thought, this is thinking. We've had I before. Knew, and then you could just do this for way. I do W's. I like to do a P for path and a W for way, S for street, R for road, and then river, a water road. Some people just do this though, so whatever you want. Okay, so I once was lost in darkest night, yet thought I knew the way. Now the way I'll actually interpret that is probably leave off I and just say once was lost in darkest night, yet thought I knew the way. So I'm leaving off some of the little words there. The sin that promised joy in life had led me to the grave. So we have the sin that's a Y coming down in your hand, that promised, so it's like you speak and then you seal it. Promised, promised. For joy, this is happy, and I usually do joy with J's. So, and look happy and joyous when you do that. Okay, so the sin that promised joy and life, we know that already, had led me to the grave. Okay, you could, if you wanted, interpret this song instead of grave, you could say death had led me to death. Whatever you prefer. Okay, so I will probably do the sin that promised, leave off that, joy and life had led me to the grave. Okay. I had no hope that you would own a rebel to your will. So I had, this is have or had or has, and this is like physically having something, like I have a book. You would not use this as a helping verb like I had gone to the store. You just aren't going to do that except in children in school doing signed English and learning English syntax. So this would simply be for having something. So I had no hope, we've done before. Again, that you for would own, I would say have again, that you would have. For rebel, you make a fist facing you and you turn it out, like you're turning your heads away, your head and that head, turning them away from each other. Rebel, you're rebelling. A rebel. To your will, so it's your And for will, I do W's like this. It's just like command, but God's will. I wouldn't use this for anybody else's will, but God's will. You could use, if you wanted to do something different, you could say, his want or his desire. This is hunger or desire. Just do it once, remember. Come down. So you can use that for desire. So his desire, you could do it that way, but I'll go with will, as in his command, his will. Okay, so I had no hope that you would own a rebel to your will. And if you had not loved me first, and okay, this is if. You take F's and you go up and down. It's an iffy situation. So if you had not loved me first. And we're going to be using the word decide. So it's for if it's iffy, but once you've come to a decision, you can start here and then come down with F. So that's decided. It's not iffy anymore. It's decided. It's firm. And so I'm going to be using that in the last verse. Decide is not in there. It's just the way I'm going to interpret it, as you'll see. But I thought I'd show you that along with the iffy thing. Your F's, if and decide. Okay, so if you had not loved me, this is first and last. So your index finger and thumb for first and your pinkies for last. Okay. Mine is bent because it's broken. So anyway. All right. If you had not loved me first, I would refuse. This is refuse. It's kind of like you're hitchhiking, but you're doing it in a motion that's forceful. Okay, I would refuse. So you got your thumb out like that. Refuse. You. This is still or yet, as we learned in an earlier sentence. But I'm probably going to use continue. I would continually refuse you. So if you had not loved me first, I would refuse you continuously. Okay, so let's see how our time is. All right, so, but as I ran my hell-bound race, so this is but. You take index fingers, you cross them, and come out like that. But. The as in this case is a while I ran my hell-bound race. So remember we learned this as like or as, like this is like this, or, sister and brother being like that person. But this as, but as I ran, that's the while. So you do this, while. Take your index fingers, make a little curve down and up, while. I ran. Remember, we've had that word before. So you've got your finger latched onto your thumb, and then you run like that. So, as I ran my hell-bound. Okay, for hell, you may see different signs, but I take an H and I come down like this. This is like, if you use a flat hand, that's like punish. If you use a C, that's condemn. And if you use an H, that's hell. So some people do the flames. Some people do hell and flames. And I'll do that if I have time. Probably don't have time in this song. But so hellbound. For hellbound, you might say hell going to, if you want to. Hellbound. If there's time for that, hellbound. Race, so you take hands like this, A hands, and you go back and forth. This is competition or race. You use this like when Paul said, I finished the race. So this can be any type of competition. All right, so hellbound race. Indifferent. This is actually a sign I just learned myself. So indifferent. So you kind of start with your nose and come down like that. Indifferent. And I have decided the way I'm going to remember that. I'm not sure of the reason for that sign, but I'm thinking like, I don't really care if I lose my nose. So I'm indifferent to the fact that my nose is coming off and being thrown away. So indifferent. To the cost. So for cost, I take an X and I come across like this. This is the cost. It's also, you would use that for price. What's the price? What's the cost? So that's that. We had the sign for buy before. So, you take money out of your hand and you buy it. And so here you're kind of scraping the money off with your X. So to the cost. You looked upon my helpless state. So you could say you looked, but I'm going to, look this way with God looking this way. So you looked upon my helpless state. So this is help, where this hand helps that hand go up. Help, help. And then helpless would be helpless, helpless, helpless. For state, you could interpret this differently. You could say my helpless life if you wanted to. That's probably the easiest thing to do. But another good word for this would be situation, my helpless situation. And so for situation, you basically, you have this, and the situation is an S, and it kind of goes around like that. Situation. A related word that looks similar is surround. So surround would be the open hand surrounding this, whatever it is, person or whatever it is. So surround or situation. Okay, so my helpless situation. And led me to the cross. Okay, so I'll say you could just do it with one hand. You looked upon my helpless state and led me to the cross. Okay, I'm going to do one more line. And I beheld God's love displayed. Those are all words that we've had before. Okay, I'm going to have to stop because of being able to upload this, so we will finish the song in the next video.